Okay, so today I'm going to be doing this one, video stitching number 1024. And essentially what this problem is asking is that you have all these clips, right? And they range from a start to an end time, and then you have this time. So in this case we have 10, and we want to use the least amount of clips to basically stitch from 0 to 10. So we could use 3 clips in this case, right? We can use 0 to 2, 2 to 8, 8 to 10, right? Or I guess these 3 clips, right? So how do we do this? Since it's asking for the minimum number of clips, we can either use dynamic programming or greedy. Now, I'm going to be using the greedy solution just because, for me, it's easier to wrap my head around. So with greedy, obviously, you want to sort these values from smallest to largest, just so when we cycle through, we can just start picking the um, the largest range just to get that maximum reach as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sorting the clips dot begin. So I'm going to sort from the beginning to end. And now that I have my sorted clips, I can start with the greedy algorithm. So I'm going to have like a start time. I'm going to initialize that to 0. An end time. Let me move my mouse. It's equal to 0. I'm going to have my counter, obviously, of how many clips. So I'll just call it clips count. That's 0. And then I'll just have like an I just for my like for loop-esque counter. Right, so essentially I'm just going to be using a while loop. So while, right, my start time is less than the time that it's telling me. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to keep updating the start time to the last value of this time. So as long as we're within this, we'll keep looping through, because the moment, for example, we hit 10, right, and the start time becomes 10, then this will break out of this loop. So while we're in this, right, what do we want to do? We want to basically check for the clips that will fit in our range. So we'll have another loop, right, while I is less than clips.size. So are we in range? And if the clips at the starting time, if that is within the start time that that we have listed. So if we're looking at this example right here, right, we're gonna go here and we're gonna be saying, okay, well, first of all, I is obviously within the clips, right, because we're starting at 0. So we're looking at the 0, clips 0 and 0. So we're looking at that 0. Is that less than or equal to start time? The start time is 0. So yes, so we will loop in here. So what are we going to do, right? We are going to basically be determining the end time. So the end time, and since this is greedy, we want to take the maximum value of that end time. So end time versus the end time of this. So in this case, right, we're looking at that 0, 2. We're going to be getting the clips, outside of the range, clips I1. So I'm taking that, let me move this out, parentheses out. So I'm basically taking the maximum of the end time versus the end time of the clips that I'm looking at. So in this case, end time will become 2. And then obviously, I want to increment up by I. So now that we're going from here, right, we basically want to check, are we, can we still keep going, right? Because if the end time, right, if the end time is still equal to the start time at the end of this, right, if 0 still equals 0, that means we never found a time where we could start from the beginning, right? At least from this first iteration. So let's say this was a 1, right? We would never be able to hit this. It would be impossible because we would never be able to go from 0 to 10. The only thing we could do if this was a 1 would be going from 1 to 10. So if, at any point in time while we're iterating, the end time equals the start time, then it's impossible. And we'll return -1, which is, return -1 right here if the task is impossible. So from here, we need to basically say that the start time is equal to the end time. So now, and then we count up by the clips count. There we go. So, so now if we run through this with the 0th, when I is 0, right, this end time becomes 2. We check, does the end time equal the start time? Start time is 0, end time is 2. So since they're not equal, we'll move on to here. The start time becomes the end time. So now the start time is 2, okay? And we count up with the clips, and then we keep going. The start time is, again, now we went to 2, right? That is less than the time, right? We come in here again. Now I is 1, still within the clip size. We're checking the 1, 0. Now there are a few values that are within this range. So now that current start is 2, right? There are 2 clips, we can consider. It is 1, 5, which is here, and then 1, 9. So 1, 5, 1, 9, and obviously when we go, the max is going to be 9, so we're going to choose 9. 9 becomes that end time, and then the next iteration, right, we're going to be looking at these clips, and I'm just going to quickly go through it. 8, 10 would be the last one, and 8, 10 will be the max end time, and the clips count would hit that. And when we go through the loop, obviously 10 is not less than 10, so then the loop will break. So if I run this, oh, I forgot to return the value. So return clips count. Now if I run it, we pass the 3 test cases, and we pass the full test.